He is breaking down our coalitions. He is breaking down our allies, and he's an embarrassment. And you two are both younger than me. You're going to have to defend this long after I'm gone.
Must Jason, be why he's polling better than Democrats.
Aggressive went on the Katie Pavlich show to face Jason Rantz, who is often jokingly called Captain Eyebrows, in a heated debate about Donald Trump and whether the 25th Amendment should be used to remove him from office. We are going to watch clips from this debate between Chris Hahn and Jason Rantz on Katie Pavlich's show, and I will also share my thoughts on it. Let's go through this together.
All right, moving on to a little social media post by the president that you may have seen over Easter. It was a message to the Iranian regime, and in case you missed it, he posted, quote, "Open the effing straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell." His actual post was not quite as censored. That had many Democrats and a few conservatives in an uproar, with some even calling on his administration to invoke the 25th Amendment. Prediction markets taking those calls seriously for some reason. Right now, Kaushi says there is a 34% chance that the 25th Amendment is used against Trump, even going up to nearly 40% this morning. Seems like liberals are voting on that. Joining us now, Jason Rantz, Seattle radio host, and Chris Hahn, News Nation political contributor and host of The Aggressive Progressive. So, Jason, when I looked at this True Social from the president, I thought, okay, maybe offensive. However, if people think that presidents don't use the F word behind closed doors when they're dealing with people like the murderous Islamic regime in Iran, I got land to sell you, oceanfront property in Arizona. I mean, he just basically is showing everybody what goes on behind the scenes, no?
Yeah, I think you're reacting like a normal human being reacted to this versus the Democrats who for the last year kept dropping F-bomb after F-bomb, thinking it made them edgy and saying literally as a candidate in Illinois for Senate, F Trump as the basis of the entire campaign. They're the ones who are supposedly offended. They're not. And they can, I have no problem if they want to invoke the 25th Amendment argument here because it shows them to be deeply unserious people who for 4 years pretended there was nothing wrong with Joe Biden. And this is just a reminder to the American people. And it's not like they don't have any talking points right now that they could legitimately run on. There are conversations and debates that Americans are having about not just what's going on in Iran, but what's happening here at home. And yet the Democrats are so deeply broken by Donald Trump that they can't simply stay on any of those talking points.
Yeah, Chris, to Jason's point, I mean, I remember seeing video after video after video with the same exact script with the F word in it. So seems like you either like it or you don't.
You think the F word was the biggest problem with that tweet? Or was it
what was untrue about it? Tell me what the problem was.
You think that offending 1 billion Muslims around the world, mocking their religion was okay?
That's the way you read it?
He's the president of the United States. He is the president of the United States. His words move markets. They amass millions. The man needs to be careful with his words. I don't care what he says behind closed door. I work in politics. I know none of them are angels. When you are the president of the United States representing the entire nation, you need to behave as such. This man has no ability to do it. And now he's also in this tweet promised war crimes on Iran. I thought we weren't going to war with the people of Iran. He is pledging total war and total destruction. It is disgusting. And if he had a cabinet around him that wasn't a bunch of suck-ups, they would invoke the 25th Amendment.
Okay. Jason, I find it interesting that Chris is arguing the president insulted billions of Muslims when the UAE, Saudi Arabia, the Gulf states, the Arab states are begging the United States to finish the job against the crazy bastards in Iran.
Yeah, and also now stepping up and talking about the Strait of Hormuz and doing what's necessary with the United States to ensure that it's opening. This idea that people are offended, again, has anyone met anyone who's actually offended by this? Has anyone spoken to a human being who is legitimately offended by this?
Yes.
No, of course not. They are leaning into the talking points that they've used for the last year, and really way longer than a year. Everything Donald Trump does is the end of the world. They always respond that way. And so anytime they come out and they clutch their pearls, it's nothing more than political theater, and it's really bad off-Broadway theater.
So, Chris, what was more offensive to you? The statement on Truth Social or the president standing with the Easter Bunny and saying he's going to take on the regime?
Look, I don't know if Sean Spicer was in an Easter Bunny costume. I hope he was. Probably better than the work he's been doing on the radio. But look, here's the thing. This is going to come to an end soon. And Jason, you're a lot younger than me. You're going to have a lot more years to defend what you're saying about this guy and how you've been defending this guy over the last couple of years. I beg of you to stop. Because he is indefensible at this point.
For looking out.
He has ruined our economy. He has ruined decades of the United States goodwill around the world. We should be the beacon of hope and truth and freedom around the world. We should be the country that doesn't do total war against people. We should be the country that builds coalitions before we act. He did none of that. He is breaking down our coalitions. He is breaking down our allies, and he's an embarrassment. And you two are both younger than me. You're going to have to defend this long after I'm gone.
Must be why he's polling better than Democrats.
Go ahead, Jason. I see the president building new coalitions, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the polling is clear that they're not taking the Democrats' word on this, which is why their polling is so much lower than Donald Trump. And Donald Trump
it's the Democrats' fault, Jason. Donald Trump is done. The Republicans in Congress are done. The Democrats, you're saying the popularity of the party? The party's never popular with its own people. I'm telling you right now, it's an earthquake coming in November and an even bigger earthquake 2 years from now.
We'll have you back to talk about it, but as of tomorrow, there may be some earthquakes in Iran. Chris Hahn, Jason Rantz, thanks for joining.
So don't ever forget, these are the same people we are talking about who act like nobody is offended and say people are just clutching their pearls. But these are the same kind of people who made a big deal in the past over Barack Obama wearing a tan suit. And while I don't know about Katie Pavlich and Jason Rantz specifically, their side and their circle were the ones who treated that tan suit moment like it was something serious. So spare me this whole clutching pearls argument, because when people bring up being offended, it's not about the F word itself, and that is not really what people are reacting to. As Chris Hahn is pointing out, it is this kind of situation with a very extreme and unstable behavior, someone openly talking in a way that sounds like destroying a civilization, and I know that was part of a separate Truth Social post, but the point is that it is not just about one word or one tweet. It is the overall pattern over many years, basically a whole decade of dealing with what many people see as constant chaos and controversy, and when people say right-wing supporters don't like his tweets but still like his policies, at this point a lot of people argue that even that claim does not hold up anymore, because they believe fewer people are actually supporting those policies now, and Chris Hahn is saying that Katie Pavlich and Jason Rantz can talk about polling and act like he has strong numbers, but in reality he is shown as deeply unpopular in the polls, often down in the 30s, and the argument is that around 2/3 of Americans are against Donald Trump. So Jason Rantz and Katie Pavlich can say whatever they want about Democrats and other issues, but in this view Donald Trump is seen as a very unpopular president, and the argument continues that if he actually had strong policies and was truly improving things for Americans, like fixing the broken healthcare system that everyone agrees is a problem, or not getting involved in what some call unnecessary or offensive wars that a large portion of the country reportedly opposes, then people would not care about things like him using strong language or saying controversial words, because the real issue being discussed here is not just language, but the overall impact and actions being criticized over time. So, in the end, it's the substance or the lack of substance of Donald Trump and the MAGA movement that people are actually offended by, not just a single word or a few comments. And Chris Hahn makes that point clearly. In his view, Donald Trump is finished, and MAGA is finished too, and this is a sinking ship. He also suggests that a few years from now, when Donald Trump is out of office and the political scene has moved on to figures like J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or whoever ends up leading the Republican Party next, people like Katie Pavlich and Jason Rantz will act as if they never supported Donald Trump in the first place. He also criticizes Katie Pavlich, saying that even though she may be on a smaller network and not widely watched, she still acts as a strong supporter or defender in these debates, and argues that when progressive voices appear on her show, they are not only facing the guest but also facing her framing of the discussion. He questions whether there is real journalistic balance in that setup and says that, in his opinion, that level of media fairness is already gone. He then goes further and says that the current political situation feels like the dumbest timeline, and argues that people across the political spectrum should agree that things cannot continue this way, describing Donald Trump as a dangerous and chaotic figure surrounded by people he also sees as dangerous, and he suggests that the 25th Amendment should be seriously discussed as a way to remove him from office. He also calls for Republicans in Congress to take action, saying it would require real courage for them to speak out, although he does not expect that to happen. Finally, he asks the audience for their opinion, whether they agree with Chris Hahn's perspective or with the opposing voices he criticized, and encourages viewers to like and subscribe before closing the segment.